Alright, we're going to start with this color wheel assignment by opening it up. You should have it in your downloads folder. Mine just happens to be on my computer. So from Photopea, you'll just open up from your downloads folder and it should show up right in front of you. The first thing you're going to want to do here is make a new layer down here at the bottom right. That means that any changes that you make aren't going to affect that original document. So you can just flip that off and on whenever you want. And it's not going to change anything about the original thing. You're not going to accidentally erase something. So I've got the brush tool right now. I'm going to set the color by clicking at that bottom left corner, and then selecting my color by clicking on it. And right now I'm just going to try to paint red right on this circle. Now if you have a very steady hand, this might be easy for you. I do not, because I'm doing this on a laptop with a trackpad, probably a lot like a lot of you guys are doing. So this is one way to do it, is just by painting your color straight on the circle. And making sure it's on its own layer, but I'm going to show you a couple other ways that you can do this a little bit better. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and change my color to my next color on my color wheel, and mess up a little bit here, because I forgot to come over here and make sure that I have the right thing selected. So I'm going to use a different tool this time called the Magic Wand tool, and what you saw me do there is I went down to the background layer, clicked on background, and I got that magic wand tool over on the left, clicked on that circle, and then that allowed me to make that selection. So I'm about to do it again here, magic wand, come down to the background layer, I'm going to click on that circle with the magic wand, but then the critical thing here, I also picked up that little extra piece by holding shift and clicking on it. What you're going to see me do next though is I am going to mess up here in just a second, because as you can see I'm painting on my background layer, and that was a really bad color of yellow. So a couple things got messed up there, and you're going to see me go back and fix those things. So again, there's several ways to do this, but I do want you guys to make sure that you are painting your colors not on the background layer like you see me doing here, and you're about to see me realize this and go back and then try to fix that. Alright, so I'm up in the history palette right now, and I just undid everything I just did. Pretty much everything. Starting over from the beginning. Clicking on the background layer, clicking on the circle, holding shift, clicking on that little piece, going back up to my new layer, and now this time when I paint it, I'm not having that problem. If you have that little dotted line showing up, just do Control D to make it go away, and that will make that much easier. Alright, so I'm going to be lazy, and what I just did was I made a copy of that layer. I did it by just holding Alt on my keyboard and then clicking and dragging, and now instead of me repainting this every time, I'm just going to go to Image Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and just change the colors to whatever I need these to be for each circle. So again, I've got my Move tool, I hold Alt, I click and drag it. In this case I've now shrank this, and you're going to see me speed up a little bit here as I do the rest of these. So I'm just repeating that same process over and over, just holding Alt, clicking and dragging, and then going through and changing the colors. Now when you get to this last color on this top one, I told those of you guys who are in class to think about what color the sink turns when you clean out all the paints, and that's what we're seeing there. Alright, so now to go work on this next section, well actually we're going to ignore the printer colors over here for right now, because that requires a little bit more explanation, and we're just going to come down to these screen colors. So once again I'm going to hold Alt, click and drag, and move my circle down here so I don't have to remake it. And I'm using the arrow keys to nudge that into place. Now I've got these numbers and I need to put them as my colors. So here's what you're going to do. Hold Control and click on the picture of the layer. That's going to select the circle. And if you go click on your fill color, you can input those numbers right for the RGB that you see right there. RGB, input those numbers, change it to your paintbrush, and then paint that in there. Now, R in RGB stands for red, and so that was like basically 255 parts red and 0 parts everything else. So yeah, that was a lot of red. So now we're going to just basically do the same thing for each of these. Get my Move tool, hold Alt, click and drag one of these small circles, and there's my numbers that I need to put in there. I'm going to hold Control, click on the picture of the layer, come over here, input those numbers, say OK, and then get my paintbrush and paint it. To make the dotted line go away, you're going to do Control D. D is deselect. Control D will make that happen. So once again, hold Alt, click and drag, hold Control, click on the picture layer, click on the fill color, input the numbers, In this case, 0, with the G being green, so that's a pure RGB green that we're seeing there, and we can put that where it belongs. So you're just going to see me repeating the same process over and over. Alt, click and drag. Control, click on the picture of the layer, get your paintbrush, and then paint it over. Back to these printer colors that I said we'd address a little bit later because they act a little differently. So you saw they said CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. These are our printer colors. Now unfortunately Photopea really can't handle these, so what I'm going to do is just show you what these colors look like, and you're going to notice something very quickly here, that all these colors should look awfully familiar. Especially ones like 0, 100, 100, 0, which is in fact just red. What you're going to end up seeing here basically is that the CMYK colors are those little small colors from the screen colors. So your screen colors RGB, when you mix those together, you end up with cyan, magenta, yellow, and black as the mixed colors. The reason that Photopea doesn't allow us to do this is because Photopea is just an RGB based graphics program. They didn't really expect anyone to use it for printers, so that's why we're just going to kind of show you how this works and then go back. So I'm just going to straight up lift these little circles from over here and bring them over here, because now that I know that those mixed colors are my CMYK colors, I can just move them from one place to the other like you're seeing me do here. Now something I'll be doing in a moment here is I'll actually take the RGB colors that are over there, as in within the printer colors. I'm going to take that red, green, and blue and make them a whole lot more dull, because the thing is, when you print those colors, they would not look like all nice and bright and vivid like we're seeing here. The only colors that can look as bright and colorful as you're seeing them when you're printing them are cyan, magenta, and yellow, because they're pure ink colors. As soon as you start mixing those ink colors, they get dull. They get really, really dull, and that's why when something looks good on the screen, it doesn't necessarily look as good when you print it, because you're mixing those colors and you're just kind of losing a lot of that saturation of what makes them look so bright and intense. So if we tried to print that red that you see right there, it would not look like that. It would not look that nearly that intense or that red. So what you're about to see me do here in just a second is going to fix these colors to look more like how they would actually look when we print them. In the middle of our CMYK colors is going to be our black. Black is K, is represented by the letter K in printer colors because black is key. Alright, so here's where I'm going to fix those colors just by taking that saturation, turning it way down. I'm obviously approximating here, but I know from experience that that's a lot closer to what those colors would look like printed out. The last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to label all of these so that we can see all of the names on them. So labeling these with their colors, this shouldn't be anything new for you all. Remember, just get the big T, click somewhere, then you can type your words. Then you're seeing where I'm just going and just copying what I've already got for each one, so I'm not having to make each and every single one of those. Now, I did have some weird technical difficulty here, and it would be nice to know what happened to make that occur. I don't know why, but basically every time I started clicking and dragging something, it was making a copy, even though I wasn't holding down Alt. So forgive me for the fact that these aren't centered. Finally, when you're done, make sure you export it as a PDF. So File, Export As, and PDF, and then you're done with this part of the project.